On April 3rd, 2011, a post was made on Equestria Daily labeled Luna Game. It appeared harmless enough, so bronies downloaded, only to quickly realize it was not what it seemed. The beginnings of the first three games and Luna Game 5 used Super Pony Beat songs as their soundtrack. It is unknown who wrote their stories. The first game starts out with you playing as Princess Luna on a simplistic platform level. You are able to jump and move around using arrow keys, but after about 20 seconds of playing, for a few more seconds, if you're standing still, the screen then cuts to one of the two sinister images: Pinkie Pie with Zalgo filled eyes, or unsuspicious looking Apple Bloom. At this point, one of the four obnoxious remixes of the song from the show begins to play, and you realize that the game neither should close with the S key or Alt F4. The mouse will become stuck at the bottom of the right of the screen as well, while the game window stays on top of every other window. The only way to close the game at this point is Task Manager via Control Alt Delete, and end the process by navigating to the program using the arrow keys and pressing Enter or Alt E. Otherwise, the game automatically closes on its own after a while. When users looked at the location, they'd save the game, and after it closed, they finally found a multitude of pictures, depending on what the image the player ended up with the game. And the text files labeled "The End is Nay." The text within these files will soon contain the exact same simple phrase, desktop screenshot. At most, bronies thought the program was some kind of sadistic form of computer virus under the guise of indie friendship is magic fan game. But after a while and many virus scans, it was confirmed to just be rather a mean prank. The game itself did not modify or delete any files on the user's computer. It only saved screenshots and text documents. Still, when the user downloaded the program to their desktop, deleting all the pictures and text documents generated would prove to be quite annoying, unless they were smart enough to keep everything in its own folder. On May 30th, 2011, another game was submitted to Equestria Gaming. This one started out similarly to the previous, but with slightly more enchanted, enhanced graphics and improved sprite character. As you begin playing, you are told immediately that you could hold shift to run. After you get going, though, you will start to notice cracks forming on the ground. As you move farther, the cracks get bigger and bigger until they completely cover the ground. Then, suddenly, the screen cuts to a Zalgo-filled image of Pinkamania showed at the top of the page, while white noise plays for about a second, then flashes back to the game. Now the background and the blocks are all tinted dark red, and you can only move very slowly as some disturbing music plays in the background. This drove some players mad. At this point, the only thing to do is go forward until you reach a giant chasm in the ground and fall into it. While plummeting, the background fades to black, with Luna eventually fading too after a game over screen of her plummeting is revealed. The image used at this point is an edited version of Luna's descent. More creepy music begins playing, and after a moment, the game closes. During this process, you are unable to close the game normally, and after the first flash, you are unable to move your mouse just like in the first Luna game. The major differences between this game and the first are considerably improved graphics, and now Luna Toon does not create any extra files, which of the first was infamous for. The third installment was released on June 11th, 2011. Once again, you start off as Luna in a very simplistic platform world and looping environment, but this time it's a forest edited setting with the same controls like last time. Luna is able to run either left or right of the screen. As she does so, the screen gets darker, and after a while of running, the background music begins to slow down and distort, continuing until interrupted by static. The trees are now dark and bloody. Disturbing music begins to play once again, and occasionally, if you listen closely, you can hear ponies chattering in the background. After this point, you will eventually run into a giant gap in the ground. It's possible to jump over this hole, which will cause a distorted version of Fluttershy yelling, "Come out," to play. This will only happen with the first jump. You can continue running, but the level will keep looping. The player is then forced to fall down the hole. Very distorted "Love Me" can be heard from Fluttershy, and several other randomly chosen Zalgofield pony images is flashed. When the screen returns to normal, Luna is lying on the ground, which is similar to what she's been running this whole time. Her legs severed and blood everywhere. After waiting for about 5 seconds, she opens her eyes and then the screen flashes to an extreme close-up of her disfigured face. A blood-curdling shriek is uttered before the game closes. A fourth game was introduced to the community on July 9th, 2011. Once again, you start off as Princess Luna, standing on a nice grassy cliff beneath the blue sky with some kind of cheerful music playing. Although there is only one place you're able to go, off that cliff. After you jump down and hit the ground at high speed, you hear a splat and the screen turns to black. You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you? Appears on screen. After a few moments, the game closes. Trying to reopen the game in any way is pointless, because after a few seconds it reopens on its own, having turned to a background task for a few moments. The words, "It didn't have to turn out like this," and "You didn't have to die," are presented to the player. A few seconds later, a blood splatter appears on screen, jarring itself madly around displaying the text, "But now you're in my world," as a roar plays. Next, you see Princess Luna in a new setting, shooting down from the top left corner of the screen and hitting the ground. The world is all red, almost appearing as if you're in pony hell. At this point, you have quickly sprint right around to avoid obstacles in your path, before the darkness closing in on the left catches up to you. If you get caught in the darkness, it will flash several creepy images of Pinkie Pie. One creepy picture is from the similar game Dreamy Rainbow. You see the same thing when you try to run into the creepy Pinkie Pie in the next part. If you do manage to pass all of the crazy terrain, you are still forced to jump off a cliff into the red darkness below. Yet only here you do get sent to the next part. This one's the craziest. It starts with Zalgo-filled text to seem to glitch out. When it does go away, some sort of messed up 8-bit music plays in the background while bugged-looking blocks appear on screen. The blocks will randomly change appearance, even if you don't do anything. All the way to the right is a large wall that you cannot get over. Your only choice is to head for higher ground. The higher you get, the darker the screen gets, making it very hard to navigate above the blocks to get on top of where you started. When you go all the way to the left on the top layer and jump over a pillar, a creepy Pinkie Pie appears close by, but disappears quickly. Going back to the right, the music suddenly gets faster, and the blocks start to fade away. Luna is forced to run from the darkness while avoiding the terrain again. If you are able to reach the end, you run right into the same creepy Pinkie, and the screen goes black. You hear a heartbeat fade in, and then the same iconic image of Pinkamena from Party of One. The heartbeat gets louder, and the image gets lighter until suddenly cuts to another gory version of the picture with static. The picture eventually fades out again as you hear Pinkie Pie laughing in the background. The game will not let you reopen. That is, unless you use a special replay program or delete the file game creating the player's C Windows temp. Instead, it simply plays, "Your fate is already sealed." A prequel to the original series of the game was posted on August 15th, 2011. Just like the previous installments, you begin the game as Luna, but this time in Princess Celestia's castle. When you talk to Celestia, she tells you that it would be nice for you to go out and make some friends. After you exit to the right, you move onto a grassy area with nice music playing. All 6 of the main cast can be found on the map, and each has their own problem that you can help with. Depending on who you return the lost item back to, you could play as one of the 6 different levels, which in a different item. After you collect 49 of the items on the map, you are able to collect the 50th, which is black and white. When you touch it, the music turns to a loud thunder. After that, the only thing you can do is continue on, at which point the ground suddenly disappears from underneath you. Some creepy music starts playing as the screen fades to black. The screen flashes white and an image of Nightmare Moon appears. After another flash, Nightmare Moon's glowing eyes open. The screen goes back to where you stopped almost immediately, but everything is tinted red. After you continue to the previous area, another creepy song begins to play, and the ponies you talk to say that Pinkie Pie is looking for you. When you talk to Pinkie Pie, she tells you that she wants you to throw you another party, but shortly afterwards the screen turns black, and the dark item you get before it appears while you hear the whispering in the background. When the screen returns to normal, Pinkie Pie goes on about a party. The screen then turns to black again with more whispering and the text "Killer" appearing at the very bottom. The screen eventually goes back to Pinkie Pie, continuing to talk before turning back one last time, with longer whispering and large words saying "Killer now." After the screen goes black, you see Pinkie Pie asking if you're feeling okay. Then the screen goes black again. This time nothing else happens. The music stops and you hear some sounds and cutting noises. When the screen fades back in, you see yourself standing alone with Pinkie Pie with a red sky behind you. Pinkie Pie has a slash going through her, and the words, but why, are at the bottom of the screen. After a few moments, the top half of her body begins sliding off, and the game closes. After a few seconds later, it opens again and the distorted "Love Me" noise from Luna Game 3 plays, with the disturbing image of Pinkamania's and text says, "This isn't over." The game closes again shortly after. If you try to reopen the game, it says, "The past cannot be changed," and closes out, unless you follow the same instructions mentioned previously. On August 22nd, 2012, the official Luna Game 5 appeared, titled Luna Game The End. It wasn't so focused on the scares like the others, but it still had a creepy vibe that will keep you on edge. The game starts off with you as well known as Princess Luna, standing on a flat strip of grass at night with happy music playing in the background. After a short amount of walking, you are greeted with the oh-so-familiar cliff. This time, though, when you jump off and you safely land on the ground, after a bit more walking, Luna begins to slow down and eventually the text, "I'm really tired," appears over her head. She collapses a moment later saying, "I'll just rest for a moment." The screen slowly fades to black afterwards. After the music stops, you suddenly appear in a completely white world, with only a single black line as the ground below you. Walk to the right some, and you'll spot an 8-bit limbo sprite from Luna Game 4 going nuts in the air. Touching it will cause the strange background sounds to begin, and the ground below you to disappear. But fear not, you don't fall long before hitting some kind of invisible ground. After walking right more, you will start to notice the sky blocks and the ground blocks appearing in random order, eventually building the entire sky behind you. After a few moments, a strange screech in the same style and the odd background sounds will play and the floor will begin to disappear again. This time when you fall, the sky turns to an empty, dark red sky and a different creepy soundtrack plays. After you hit the ground again, you'll be greeted by ground blocks with a similar line designed that of built of Luna Game 4's Hell stage. Continuing to walk will reveal a smaller cliff, one of which you can see to the bottom of. Jumping it off will trigger ground blocks to randomly start turning into 8-bit limbo blocks from Luna Game 4, the second soundtrack of the 8-bit limbo world, Incoming Darkness, to play, and the dark shadow to start eating up on the screen to your left. If you don't hurry, the shadow will immediately eat you and take you to the next map. If you manage to outrun it, you're greeted with several obstacle courses, and the result in the end is the same, although you do get there does affect the game's ending. After the darkness takes you to the next room, you find Luna laying back down on the ground from the first scene where she took a nap. Really low, creepy music begins to play, and after a moment she stands up, or if you press a key, holding shift is disabled. Walking to the right will reveal some shadow ponies. The silhouettes of Rainbow Dash, Twilight Sparkle, Rarity, Fluttershy, and Applejack can all be found, as well as an unknown filly walking next to some ponies triggers the text above their heads. At random moments, static will flash on the screen and white noise will be heard. When this happens, The text above the ponies' heads will change, and the silhouettes of all of them, except for the filly, will change back to their original sprites. Although lacking any pupils, the static only lasts a moment. After walking all the way to the right of the screen, it does not happen again and you are able to run. After walking a while back to the left, you are greeted by Nightmare Moon, where you lose control over Luna. Another creepy song starts playing at this point, accompanied by a heartbeat. As Luna walks towards Nightmare Moon, loud static begins to play once, and the fan art of previous Luna games flashes on screen. This happens one more time before you reach Nightmare Moon, and when you do, the screen goes black. If you die before reaching the end of the darkness, the game will end for you at this point. Otherwise, you are taken to another place. The background is completely black here, but as you move, cracks start appearing under the ground below you. It disappears after becoming completely cracked. Your only option is to go right at this point. And when the ground below you is gone, you are shown another path just below where you were continues right from this point on. You can continue as far right as you can, but at the end you will always fall. Once that happens, Luna is replaced with Nightmare Moon for a split second as static and white noise plays. After a moment, you hear a splat and the screen goes black. Slowly the screen fades back in and you see the same dead Luna from Luna Game Free, and except instead of another screamer, the game just closes itself. However, if you go through Luna 4 and 0 again to re-experience the journey and survive the darkness, you'll be greeted by a happy ending. It's similar scene to that of Luna Game 0 demo, and everything is alright in it. The main six ask Luna what has happened, and she says that she had a nightmare. She shakes the entire experience off as if it was nothing, but at the end, for a fraction of a second, the Pinkamania sprite from Luna Game 4 flashes on the screen before the game closes. A fan-made addition to the series was submitted on February 29, 2012. The game starts out like any Luna game, with you in control of Luna and the bit of text telling you to hold shift to run. Everything begins as bright as cheerful with happy music, especially Eurobeat Brony's mix of Call Upon the Sea Ponies. After running around for a bit, you run into Angel Bunny. Once you get up close to him, a Metal Gear Solid style exclamation point sound plays and he runs off. At this point, you move on to the next room over. It is now nighttime, and the music changes to another fairly cheerful but slower song, Luna's Anthem. Here in this level, you have to jump around the platforms and collect 9 rabbits. While getting these rabbits, you will come across a pit, which is covered from the top, so that you can't fall in it. Once you've collected the 8th rabbit, this pit will open, and you'll have to make your way over and jump in. Once down the pit, you run into another rabbit, but this time colored in red instead of white. Here's when things get creepy. Once you collect this 9th and final rabbit, the cheerful music halts, and the passage to another room opens with Pinkie Pie's silhouette standing in the doorway. Upon entering, a dark red sky and a number of shadow ponies can be seen roaming about. As you start to walk, the crying of a Left 4 Dead witch can be heard. Static will flicker as creepy music plays, and this background static will light up as the pony silhouettes to reveal their Zalgo field features, but this only lasts for a split second each time, and is completely random unless you use the Easter egg described how to trigger it yourself, so you can't get a good look at them. In order from left to right, the shadow ponies are Blinky Pie, who will say, "Mommy, where are you? I can't see." Twilight Sparkle, who disappears after the first flash, but if you use the Easter egg to trigger another flash quickly enough, you'll see that she actually is just falling out south at the end of the screen. Derpy Hoops, who will say in black lettering, "Help us, please," and Lyra Heartstrings. You walk further and further into the creepy landscape, past numerous shadows. Pretty soon the audio will begin to shift from a creepy music to sounds of animalistic in nature. They can be described as rabbit-eating noises. Once you reach a certain point, the camera scrolls down on its own as you not move, and you have to run to keep up with it. When at the bottom, you are given the impression that something is about to happen. Should you stop or go left, causing the camera to completely pass you? Doing this is pretty much death. Are you confronted with a hyperrealistic Pinkamania screamer? The sound effect is the same from Luna Game Free when Luna is the screamer, and the game closes. When you go to the right, you will reach a room with a very oversized Pinky in the middle. It looks normal, but it will turn darker, and you fade into a Zalgo Field version of the same picture. Shown on the right, when it is finished, platforms will appear. Use them to jump up to Pinkie Pie's mouth, and the screen will turn black, and the sound of something being eaten and swallowed, presumably you or Luna, will play. Next, Luna is in a maze, which is actually Gaiga's lair from the video game Earthbound. Even using the same background noise, she is trapped by Pinkamena, who will bring up propaganders. They disappear, and you have to go up to larger space. In orbit the center of the room, actually called the Devil's Machine in Earthbound, you see Nightmare Moon's head appear and follow the words, "You know what you have to do." Proceed it down until it fades to black again. When it returns normal, you will see Luna lying on the ground, where you picked up the final bunny, except she's dead and bloodied like in Luna Game Free. And there was a black screen with the words, "You're next." After that, a Zalgo-filled Pinkie Pie pops up for a split second. The game closes as the CD tray opens by itself. If you change your system date to Friday the 13th, you will get a special one-time only cutscene in which Pinkamania faces Nightmare Moon. You can't do anything but watch, of course. Nightmare Moon reveals the reason she killed Pinky, saying that a party doesn't make up for 1,000 years of suffering. Pinkamania is scared and tries to talk some sense into the princess, but to no avail. Then Nightmare Moon breaks the fourth wall. Shh! Someone is listening. It shortly cuts to the two ponies, only to end in a screamer, a bloody Scootaloo along with the line, "Leave this place!" The game then closes itself. Pressing the I, K, and T keys at the same time will trigger one of the two Easter eggs, depending on what part of the game you're in. If you do this before the game turns creepy, you'll trigger a Zalgo Field Pinky Screamer, some from the one randomly chosen in Screamers from Luna Game Free, and the game will close. If you press them in the third room, the one with the red sky, the background static will play again, in which you can use to reveal a Pinky sprite staring at the screen, or an Ursa Major just by the chase starts. After you enter the room with the giant transforming Pinky, pressing the keys will do nothing. It is unknown why the creator of this game chooses a specific letters for keys. Using Alt F4 or Escape will close the game if you haven't processed to the creepy part, which is strange considering that 5 is one of the first Luna game in which you could close out of the game yourself. However, if you try using Alt F4 in the third room or later, the window will still close, but only for a few seconds. After that, the game opens itself back up and you can hear Pinkie Pie laughing at your failure. Using Escape after the game gets creepy will not close the game, but you will still hear laughing, although it's not the same laughing sound. You can also use Ctrl-Alt-Delete to close the window at any point of the game, but if you do it in a creepy half-distorted version of Fluttershy yelling, "Come out," the same one from Luna Game Free will play, although the game won't stop you from closing it. Regardless, you still won't be able to move your mouse cursor. You will have to use arrow keys and enter and select to end the program in your task manager. Of course, in the Lunar game, you start off as Luna in the grass field at night. Use the arrow keys to move and the space to jump. Once you go down the pit, you cannot get out of it. Still try moving and jumping around until the wall disappears. Move forward and you'll get a background saying, "A Luna lived happily ever after, and nothing scary ever happened ever." No screaming sound will play. No music is heard during the gameplay. In Luna's Golem 48, unlike the other Luna games, this one is a loading bar when it opens. When the game finishes loading, you will appear on the grass field day. In the badly drawn, you pretty much move slow. Once you get far enough, you will encounter Pinkie Pie's Screamer. Again, this is badly drawn with an obvious edited-out scream. After a few seconds, the game closes. Since its wake, Luna Game, its many sequels and variants have struck the terror of the minds of their players. Even though the series doesn't emerge itself like the real world like most other creepypastas, many regard as its successors as Creepypasta, most likely as a result of the series never as crediting Dana's resources, plus the fact that the author of the games has much effort remained anonymous. Well, I definitely do need to say this was actually a pretty good My Little Pony related creepypasta. And that, my pretties, was actually Luna Game, a My Little Pony creepypasta. My final thoughts on the story? I definitely do need to say is this is actually one of my favorite creepypastas that I personally like when it comes to My Little Pony. Now I've seen a couple other My Little Pony games and some of them are good, some of them are not good, but I personally really do enjoy this. I personally really enjoyed this a whole lot. I thought it was a really good and well done story. I mean, I like the concept of it. It's all really well done, and we really do need to sit here and say is that there is a lot of, you know, a lot of good stuff when it comes to these creepypastas. This one was honestly one of the best My Little Pony ones, and it's actually believable because I've seen gameplays of this of the Luna games, and they're actually very believable in a sense. So I really do enjoy this a whole lot. I mean, I know I haven't touched this game yet, so I mean, not game, this story, so I decided to sit here and, go along with it. So I definitely do need to sit here and say is that it's a really, really amazing, well done story. So I'll leave a link in the description for any of you guys who wants to see this story. And I definitely do need to say is this story is actually really, really amazing. I personally really do enjoy this a whole lot. I thought it was a really good story. It's really well done. It's just a really amazing one that I've seen. I mean, I've seen some other ones, but this one is definitely one that I personally really enjoy. I thought this was a pretty good story. I like the concept of it. And I mean, while it is cliched, I will admit, there is parts of this that is completely cliched, but I didn't think this was all that bad. I thought this was a pretty interesting story. So there's definitely a really good concept when it came to this story. I personally thought this was really neat and well done. I mean, I love this story. Now, while despite the Zalgo Go stuff, which I thought that was pretty creepy and messed up, and some of the even though there was a couple cliches that were in this story, I definitely have to say it's one of the good classic creepypastas because this one was made back in 2011. So yeah, I mean it's an older story, but I definitely do need to sit here and say is that it is amazing. It's like one of the best My Little Pony creepypastas that I've seen personally. And I definitely do need to sit here and say is that a lot of My Little Pony creepypastas I've seen are just, either cliched or not that good. So this one, I definitely do need to sit here and say is that it is just a really, really amazing, well done story. I mean, it's believable, the grammar is good, and everything about this was just flat out awesome. So I definitely do need to sit here and give claps. So, Offer, really good job with this story. I personally love this one. This one was just fantastic. You did a pretty good job with the story. I could tell there was a lot of time and effort put into it. So, yeah. Anyways, I personally really like the fact that, it's believable because there are videos about, Luna game and it actually exists. So, yeah, I guess with that being said, I do not know who the original author of this story is, so I'm going to leave this as anonymous for now. If I ever do find out who the original author is, I'll be sure to give him proper credit, if I ever find out who the original author is. But, anyways, I'm going to sit here and say it is believable, which I really do like because I know very few pastas are believable, but this one actually proves a lot because there is more to it. So, anyway, I'm gonna sit here and say right now, like I'm always gonna say, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with it, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas. This is simply my own personal thoughts. I'm gonna give this story I'm gonna give this one a 10 out of 10. It's just a fantastic, really well done story. It's awesome. I really do like this story. This story is actually one of my favorite My Little Pony creepypastas that I've seen, along with some My Little Pony grimdarks. I mean, I guess you could kind of say that this one is a My Little Pony grimdark. Well, I wouldn't really call this a grimdark, but if you want to call it grimdark, that's fine. But I'm definitely needing to say that it's a really fantastic story. So the story is definitely worth it. I will admit it is definitely worth it. So yeah, I guess with that being the case and with that being said, like I'm always gonna say, what did you guys personally think of this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm Shadow the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and if you're new to my channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. As always, if you guys want to go follow me on Blue Sky, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, follow me on DeviantArt, follow me on Instagram, follow me on my socials so you guys can, keep up in contact with me. And as always, if you want to follow my backup channel known as Miss Dark Shigo, links to all those will be in the About page section so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And I guess with that being said, that's pretty much all I have to really say, but if I'm missing something, please let me know. And as always, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out, and like always, roll the outro because I'm out.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, stay pretty.